We're going to try to catch up on the schedule here. We're going to begin with the District Attorney, General Tory Johnson. General Johnson, if you would introduce your guest, please.
Thank you. I am Tory Johnson. I'm the District Attorney. To my right is Michael Brook, who's been my longtime Director of Finance and Administration. In the back, I have his assistant, Jim McDonnell, and Teresa Sharon, who's head of my Victim Witness Services Division.
And General Johnson, are you satisfied with the budget as it has been presented by the mayor?
We are, we're satisfied with the money the mayor has provided. Certainly, we have other needs that I would like to bring to the attention of the council, but essentially, we're satisfied with the mayor's budget.
Very well, then you may begin your presentation.
I'm not going to give a long presentation about our office or what we do, other than to say that the District Attorney's Office is essentially a state office. Well, it is a state office, of which, though, we get substantial support from the metropolitan government, both in terms of personnel and an operating budget. We then are responsible for appearing in juvenile court, general sessions court, and criminal court. We handle 100% of all criminal cases that occur in Davidson County and find their way in the courts of Davidson County. The way we do that is with a staff of 60 attorneys who appear in court, in these courts daily. We have then approximately 16 victim witness coordinators who work with the victims of violent crime to help and support them through the process, because understand, we handle everything from no driver's license to first-degree murder and everything in between. Those victim witness coordinators are primarily have been provided by the foresightedness of the metropolitan government, not the state of Tennessee. And for that, we are truly grateful. We also then have a handful of criminal investigators, and the rest are support staff who process literally thousands of cases on an annual basis. The office processes these cases from arrest to the Davidson County Grand Jury. These are felony cases, and then on to our 6 criminal courts. Now, that's just a very simple, very general overview of what we do. I just want to bring 2 things to your attention and express some concerns that I want to bring again to your attention. First is one of the things we did about 14 years ago is to get a grant that allowed us to develop a fraud and economic crime unit. This was, we felt, necessary because there were a lot of financial cases that were occurring, large dollars, but we're not getting the attention of the federal government, and that were probably more complex and more time-consuming than what we could expect the Metropolitan Police Department to investigate, and then and the volume was such that we couldn't expect the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to handle them. So we got a grant that provided for a couple of investigators and a lawyer to work these cases. And since that time, we've handled over 1,100 cases. We haven't collected. I'm just saying the fraud involved has approached $100 million. Now, these are thefts that are occurring to not only good-sized corporations, educational institutions, but also to sole proprietorships, partnerships, other kinds of businesses here in Davidson County, as well as fraud on the elderly, people who are securities fraud, things like this, that our office has investigated and has obtained convictions and restitution where it's possible, so on and so forth. Over the last several years, though, because of the financial conditions of the city and the constraints that we operated under, we have had positions that we simply could not fill from a financial standpoint. And so as a result, we've lost staff in the fraud and economic crime area. We have an attorney, we have someone who's an accountant, but we don't have an investigator to go with them. And just today, we had to advise somebody who had a theft of about $500,000 that we just don't know when we're going to get to their case, because we have so many other cases in the queue that are waiting for some kind of attention. So if I had a wish list, I would say that it would be vitally important for us if we could get fill one of these investigator positions. Fill an investigator position for the fraud and economic crime unit specifically, because it really provides, these are cases that are not being handled really by anybody else. If we don't handle them, they're not getting handled. The other thing is over the years, we have essentially had what would amount to a 10% cut in the number of people we have in the office. As I say, we're state and metro, but we have a 10% cut in the amount of people we've had over the last decade, but a 30% increase in workload. Now, fortunately, through automation, through organization, and through management, we've been able to handle that and handle it well. But we are at the limit where it is very, very difficult to process the cases that we have. I'm not asking, my wish list is not for an attorney, but is for support staff, is for one support staff position that could work in our grand jury area, particularly where we are really processing cases. I mean, that's a relatively inexpensive as things go position, but these would be just two positions that I think are critical for us continuing to maintain the quality that we've done, as well as deal with the caseload that we've had. Other than that, I have no other comments to make. Happy to answer any questions that any of the council members have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Stein.
General, I have a faulty memory, but I sort of kept this list of things that were requested at the mayor. Was this on your list for the mayor?
We did ask that we had these positions, in the interest of time, I hate to get into too much detail, but we had these positions that were unfilled, that were allowing us to keep the pay of both our city and state assistants equal.
Right.
And the mayor has taken care of that.
Right.
We were asking for money to allow us to actually fill 4 of those positions. We have 12 positions, actually 8 full-time positions that we had open. We asked for 4, but didn't get any of that. And so we're just saying 2 would be happy.
And did I miss your putting the price tag on what you were requesting?
I'm sorry, it'd be about $120,000 for the 2.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Attorney General Johnson. It's good to meet you. The question I have, and maybe because I don't understand the relationship between the state and metro, can we possibly reach out and get some of this funding for these 2 positions from the state as part of their contribution, or do I not understand?
Well, it's an odd situation. I mean, basically, the state provides a fixed number of assistant district attorneys and support staff. It's not based on any particular formula at this point. And then traditionally, they expected in the 4 major metropolitan areas in the state, they expected the local government to fund all the operating costs. That is, finding office space, paying for copying and telephones and all the machinery of an office and so on and so forth. And that's traditionally how it was. Over the years, over the last probably 25 to 30 years, the metropolitan government had things that they wanted done. They wanted special prosecutors to handle drunk driving cases, to provide particular attention on that. They wanted in major drug cases. I mean, there are domestic violence cases. The mayor has last year gave us 2 people to concentrate on domestic violence. These were things that the city wanted over and above what the state was willing to provide. And because the city had interests that were different and really exceeded what the state was interested in doing. And so that's a long answer to say that really the state, we lobby both sides. We lobby the state and we lobby Metro because between the two, we hope to get enough to keep doing what we're doing.
Yes.
If we relied on just the state, let me just say this. If Metro didn't do anything, and just said, we're going to take whatever the state does, we would only be in criminal court. We would not be handling juvenile cases. We would not be handling general sessions, and we would not be providing the kind of victim witness services that we provide to the victims and their families of violent crime. I mean, it would not be a pretty picture, but for what Metro does.
And at the state level, is that, who is the chairman and what committee is that under?
Well, I mean, basically, the original budget comes from the governor. Now, let me say that the state is in the process of trying to do what they call a weighted caseload study, which is really to measure the workloads of judges, district attorneys, and public defenders across the state. I've done my own numbers. I know for a fact we have the largest caseload of any office in the state of Tennessee. But we're fortunate here in Nashville that we have all the data and information you want. Unfortunately, a lot of places in the state don't have that, and because we are not able to get accurate data, it's delaying the state from doing this weighted caseload study. That might bring some relief down the road, but again, it might be a very big number.
And who is carrying that at the state level? Is it Lieutenant Governor Ramsey? Or?
Well, it's the administrative office of the courts. It's the lieutenant governor's involved. The governor's involved. It's a group.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair. I was curious as to, I mean, there is a lot of people that prey on the elderly and the disabled, and I was just wondering if your department is targeting that as a type of target that you can deal with, because I talk a lot with the elderly and the disabled because of the nature of what I do for a living, and it's a huge problem. I mean, they go into their homes, they promise them all this stuff, they take their money, and they
Well, this is exactly the fraud and economic crime group is principally does. A lot of the cases that they do are the kind that you're referring to, which are people that have been swindled, being sold investments that aren't really investments. I mean, all sorts of things like that. But they're complicated cases. They require a great deal of time and expertise, which we, in a small amount, we happen to have that. But I couldn't give you a percentage, but certainly a significant percent of the cases that our fraud and economic crime unit deal with are people involving the elderly.
Councilmember Barry.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Attorney General Johnson, for being here. Appreciate it. My question is quick. You said it was $120K for the 2 positions. Is it that evenly split, 60-60?
No, it would be, the investigator position would be about $66,000, and that's with everything. That's benefits and everything, and the support staff is about $52,000.
And if you were to choose one over the other to have to split that baby, is there one that's probably more important that if you were to get this time?
I'd probably say the investigator in the fraud area. I mean, just because we're just having a hard time to deal with that. We've got again, we can continue to rely on automation that
Sure.
helps us respond in the kind of the case processing area, but it can't help us in the actual investigation of some of these cases.
And the investigative component would be partly related back to Councilman Bednay's question about helping with the elderly and investigative fraud.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would like to add 66K to the wish list, please, for that position, and 66K, I think is what you said. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a wish. I've been around long enough to know it's a wish.
All right, thank you. There are no other council members in the queue at this time. We'd like to thank you, General Johnson, for joining us this evening.